All right. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Real excited today to talk to Obi Wan, Damian Todd. We're going to talk about his marathon jiu-jitsu session, 24 hours, world record holder, what that was like, and let's get into it. So, hey, thank you, Obi. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
If you guys haven't seen it in any jiu-jitsu websites, 24-hour nonstop, right? You did how many opponents? How many guys you fight? 230 or something?
230, yeah, absolutely. I got the maths wrong a couple of times, but I'm a Marine, so don't judge me. 230 people.
230 opponents in 24 hours. So I want to get into that, but first I want to talk about your cause and why you did it and your service. So you were Royal Marine Commando, right? In Australia.
That's correct, yeah. No, I was based in the UK, but then I moved over here. But so yeah, I did 22 years the British Royal Marines from '89 through to 2011. Yeah, 22 years. It seems like an eternity ago. You know, it's 8 years this May since I left, and we're all about to have a big catch up, big reunion in May. I can't wait. That's going to be awesome.
You got bragging.
You got bragging. Yeah. Maybe a little.
You combat tours or in theater?
Yeah. So we're in the Middle East. There's the places you'd imagine, but I also served in Northern Ireland, very young, and that probably for me was one of the worst because I was depending on what side of the fence you sat on, that was the worst because it was at home, and it's a part of British history, and probably for some still goes on. It does still go on, that people don't really want to remember. I think, but the people always will remember, in no matter where the fields of conflict are. But yeah, so I'm very grateful to have come out the other side with very little physical scarring, let's say, at least. Mentally scarring, of course, and that's why the cause for the grappling was going to be something for people who serve or have served, or for others, those who haven't served and had that mental trauma from whatever, for mental health, because it's one of those things that you don't actually see, but yet we're expected to. There's a phrase over here in Australia which is, just have a cup of concrete and walk it off, type of thing, and that's great. But if you guarantee if somebody's walking into your gym or into the area with a broken leg on crutches, you'd open the door for them, you'd kind of help them out, perhaps. But with a mental health issue, because you don't see it, you don't give it any real credence. Or when I say you, I mean there's a lot of people that don't. And the biggest failing of that, as you can imagine, the brain, which is what affects, is with mental health, is it controls everything. That leg that was in the plaster, we're able to walk still, because of our head. Now, our head controls everything else effectively, but yet we give it so little respect, in as much as that if that's broken, then everything else is broken. And that's why it was important for me to get a message across saying, you know what, even when you're physically depleted, if your head can tell you can keep going, there is nothing more powerful. And as most of the people watching the show who are servicemen, women, etc., or otherwise, the mental fortitude will carry you through so much more than the physical. If you're mentally not prepared, if I wasn't mentally ready, well, guess what? You didn't win, or whatever else. And it's thrown away like an old toy. And I think it was important for me to say, hey, I know there's so many people suffering, as I have done for many years, and probably will to a certain degree for the rest of my life. But I'm in a position now where I can hopefully be an ambassador or an advocate for supporting mental health and its and the benefits of that. I think that's probably what drove me to say, hey, if I can do it when I'm 48 years old, I've had spinal surgery, my neck's still not pretty good, and I'm being beaten by 230 people for 24 hours, then you know what? So can you, because I guarantee you won't be putting yourself through this. So if this is really hard, what are you actually doing that's so hard? I'm not saying it's not hard, but there must be a way around it, because there's a way around doing this. So here you go. Here's an option. Oh, if you can do this. And it's funny, when I went to the gym, I'm still not able to roll at the minute, but I went to the gym the other night, and the thing they come up with, thing, oh, I haven't done my washing. Oh, if Obi can roll 24 hours, I should go and find my washing, or something like that. You know, just little things, and it's quite funny. It's a bit of a mantra now. Oh, if Obi can do 24 hours, then I can take the kids to school so early, or whatever else. I mean, I'm picking on things.
So the foundation you're working with, Are You Okay Heroes? Now, I'd never heard of that. I mean, I'm aware of a lot of veteran suicide, veteran mental health issues, but I really like this foundation because it does have a call to action. You know, 22 push-ups a day is great, but all these campaigns over the last couple of years has not done anything to actually reduce the number. So I was checking out your website and your fundraising. Congratulations, $30,000, $30,750, I think I saw today, and I'm going to be donating to myself. So that's incredible. That's a great amount to raise. But I like the foundation, and you have a personal touch with this foundation because. And I always like to lead off with my own. A lot of veterans hide their psychological issues, and as a result, I think that it's harder for other people who are going through stuff to realize how common it is. I found jiu-jitsu when I was going through severe depression, and I found the only clarity I got was when I was rolling, and helped me deal with the stresses. So you yourself, you said not only are you supporting the foundation, you said you had your own issues. So tell me about those, please.
Yeah, so I mean, I think probably the best way to capture that, and rather than go about I won't go about the incidents that ultimately created that, because that's the story for so many, and it's long-winded. But I think the thing that I remember then, end of 2008, 2009, married, and I had a significant, let's say, black spot where all I didn't care about anything, self-depreciating thoughts, not wanting to be around, having previously at the early sort of part of splitting previously with another partner, that I just didn't want to be around anymore. And I can remember at that time, the thing that brought me back from wanting to slit my wrist in a bath, back at the end of 1998, 1999, sometime before that, was thinking about my brother and the girls that he'd been sort of looking after with a previous partner of his. And that's the only thing that brought me back. So it was just those little moments. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And then later on, just having that same again, and kind of wanting everyone to hate me, because it felt better that everybody hated me than the alternative.
Pushing them
because,
away.
Yeah, it's I didn't feel as though I deserved any love or affection or anything like that, because of the things I'd had to do. And again, this is the key word there, had to do, because again, if I hadn't done them, the chances that we wouldn't be having this conversation. And I think that rings true for so many. I think, again, everyone's journey is different. But I also think that that having to trying to justify that position to so many people, and trying to get them to understand, when I eventually got to the point where I'd had some help, and said, hey, look, I'm really struggling. I don't want to be around anymore. Can somebody help me? And they go to the people, short-term medication. I've rarely been on medication, because I've always thought, well, this is such a powerful thing. But I also appreciate, like, sometimes some of us need a crutch to get up on, to help us up. Mm-hmm. And I think that for me, when I actually started to relay to some of the people closest to me, one incident particularly that I'd gone through, that the majority of those people just, oh, well, it was years ago, kind of get over it, et cetera, et cetera. Well, okay. Well, we remember things so relatively insignificant in comparison. I can remember when I went out on the town and had a few beers, and we did this, and it was a good laugh, and we can remember that, oh, it was a great night. okay, so why would it then be such a throwaway comment? Why make it throwaway when you've had to do the worst you can do in the world to have that then thrown away? And to me, that doesn't make any sense because it's so very much more graphic. And when, if you're like me, and I've got a photographic memory, I can give you colours, everything in detail of everything, pretty much everything. I even remember vehicle registrations from cars that I used to note when I was overseas, because that's what I used to do. That was my thing.
That could be painful if you've seen traumatic stuff.
It's hideous because I could, if I had somebody and I could interpret and give it to an artist, they could draw every single moment that's really that sort of profound, if you like, in my life. So I think from my side that to think that people should just walk it off, and I'm going back to the thing I said earlier, just to walk it off or to have a cup of concrete and harden up or whatever else is it's insanity in itself. I try to use my words carefully, but it is. And I think that for me, my scenarios back in sort of 2000, 2008 were profound enough for me to go, hey, look, I just need some help, because if I don't, I'm not going to be around anymore. And so now what I do to combat that, and as a top tip, if you ever take anything away from this podcast, is wake up in the morning and go, right, okay, what am I going to do today that's going to get me through the day, as in to live out my day? What's my goal for the day? And that's really important because it's because I need that. I need that to get through the day. So my first thing this morning was obviously you. So you, my goal for today. And then my wife and I are going to go out for food later down into there's a big festival on here. It's every year in Adelaide. This is Mad March. It's so crazy. There's so much going on. They have car racing around the city and all this other stuff. And the Adelaide Fringe is on. So we're going to go out and get something to eat later. So that's it. And that sounds like such an onerous task, having to do that every day. But hey, I'm here. I'm talking. So
term goals,
can't be that bad. Can't be that.
Actually, it sounds like how I got through every deployment. It's this is focus on what you got to do today, get through the day, reflect on it, and move on. So how did jiu-jitsu end up playing into for you? I mean, I can tell my story, but this is about you. How did jiu-jitsu fit into that?
Okay, the first element I had or touch on jiu-jitsu was back in 2006 when I'd been watching UFC for quite a long time, from like UFC 6 or 7 or so. I can't remember. It was about UFC 6, as I recall. And in fact, funny enough, just going on sort of slightly off topic, but I can remember saying to that, have you ever seen the Frank Mir Tim Sylvia fight where he broke his arm? No, when was that? And I went, oh man, yeah, UFC 48. I was like,
Gracie guy, so absolutely, I know that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just watching Herb Dean go and get in there at the last minute. No, you got to stop. And Tim's like that. Yeah, I've got to go. Nothing, I'm just busted, bro. So and I think, God, that's 48. Yeah, I have been watching it that long. So that. But then moving on. So I did some no-gi on the way down to Sierra Leone, sort of West Africa, back in 2006 with a couple of guys on board ship, and that's interesting. And I've spoken about this before. You can have, the ship comes up, the guy on top weighs so damn much, man. And you're rolling, the ship's going up, then coming down. Yeah, he weighs so heavy. A 100-kilo guy weighs about 180. And then when ship goes down, that same guy's like a feather, and you just.
Yeah, that's a great kind of boot sweep.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I did that, and then when I got back, one of my last drafts, my postings, was at an army barracks, and in charge, the 2IC of that unit was an army major, and we were chatting in the mess one night, and it came over. I can't remember what it was for. May have been for Christmas or something, and having a few beers as you do, and talked about watching UFC. Oh, bro, I love UFC, and I've been to the States 15 or 16 times, I think. And so I knew a lot of the for different reasons, pretty much Quantico, that side. And I've been to Annapolis and those places, competing there and in track. And then he'd say, about UFC. I said, yeah. I said, I'd love to run a school. Do it. So I said, okay, do it. And I only got it through the gate by opening that little mini MMA gym. Trust me, I had no idea what I was doing. Not a damn clue. But I knew more than everybody else that was there. So as a no belt, nothing. I started up an MMA. It was the first ever official MMA club in the whole of British Armed Forces. And it didn't last very long because I did a big charity event in America, which I don't know if you've seen, about running across America with some of the guys raising money for wounded soldiers charities, particularly in the States and in the UK. But that, for the year and a bit that I had it, I had Mike Bisping came down, did a seminar, some guys from a company called Cage Rage, which I think was swallowed up by UFC as well at some point some years ago, and they all came in and did seminars and blah blah blah. And that's what I did. No gi. I had no gi and no idea, but I ran it as a fitness stand up. It was great, and I had about 70 to 80 members at its peak, so it was pretty full on. And then left it. Didn't do anything else. Like I said, did the run across America, and then when I moved to here to Australia back end of 2013, and I put a bit of weight on because the beer's good, the wine is amazing, and just chilling out. And I got to around to like March, April. I went, right, I put a bit of weight on. I was about 96 kilos, something like that, which was too heavy. I was that weight when I bobsleighed, but it was all muscle, but this was just crap weight. So I went, okay, jiu-jitsu, where's the nearest one? That one will do. Went down there and I trained there. Got my blue belt after 10 and a half months because obviously I had some reasonable experience, but I was military mind as well as, wanting to kill everything, but also at the same time had that slight no-gi, how do you put the pressure experience. So, that was me. And so I was the guy that threw and a top player type thing. And that was it. And then I found in doing that, I went, no matter what happened, when you walked up to the mats, and this is a long way to answer your question, you get to mats, and you can have a really crap day, and then you get on the mats, and you spend a couple of hours there, and you go, and you walk off, bow and walk off, and you go, what was that day crap? Got the endorphins running. I've had to think about something else. My arm was in this position, and you have to get it around, shrimp, whatever. Oh, forget the day. Okay, well, that was good. It was good jiu session. And then as a result of that, it becomes so very addictive because as you get better in that, running parallel to that is this mindset of, okay, I'll go there and I can make myself feel better. And bingo, absolutely does. 100%. Yeah. It's the best.
I went through a real bad pit and I found that, those spiral thoughts, you just can't, I was similar to what you described. And, all you think is negative. You try and take your mind off it, negative. Then I get on the mat and I got, I'm white belt, blue belt, just getting smashed. And in that period, all I'm thinking about is not getting crushed. And at first I had issues dealing with the pressure, some PTSD issues. You start getting that adrenaline, but you start to learn to say to yourself, I'm getting smashed. It's uncomfortable, but I'm okay right now. It hurts. I'm not, and then you think your way through it. And that's when I got into the cerebral side of jiu-jitsu is you kind of shut the noise out, think your way out. And, it kind of, all those negative thoughts just clear out. And then I found I had like a good hour after jiu-jitsu where whatever the chemical situation in my brain was, it was balanced and I could really address what I was dealing with and it comes back. But over time, it became a therapy. I call it mat therapy. And I had a similar experience and it's amazing, and I've seen a lot of traction here in the States as a form of therapy. VA is starting to explore it. We've got some nonprofits doing it and I'm totally excited for it. But you took it to such an extreme, man. I mean, you took, 2 hours, after 2 hours of hard grappling, my hands don't work. I can't open, a bottle of soda. So before we get into what that grind was, what was the decision like? I think you obviously were an endurance athlete. You said you were a track guy. And that was one of my questions. Why 24 hours? I mean, who talked you into that or out of it? What was that like?
Oh, wow. It's a good question. And the person that taught me into it was me. My wife and I, we've been married just over a year and a half now. And we've been together for 6 years, almost 6 years. And she would be able to tell you that I'm one of the most determined people that she knows, I guess, and certainly, and myself as well. I mean, everybody, I've met some amazing and inspiring people. But there are some people who are inspiring, but they're inspiring, but they do solely for them. Doesn't matter who, but there are that I can't align with. That there were some comments on certain posts back along, and there's always going to be haters, haters going to hate and all that. About is he doing it for him or is he doing it for the cause? Well, you know what? Try it out, bro. You work out what I'm doing it for. It's generally people have never done anything for anybody else if they're willing to go to berate you. So that's and that can put that to bed very quickly, because
people who actually ready to put their neck out will say shit like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
You get the answer to that is yes. It's both. You absolutely amazing. And so how did you get ready for that? And first off, let's give a shout out. Where'd you do it at? Who'd you do it with? Who do you want to? Who set this up? Who helped you set this up?
Okay, so I did a gym called Chow Kaizen. I was training at another place previously, and then I didn't feel that it was ever going to get traction in that place. It didn't, and so a good friend of mine, Tuesday Chow, he's a former 1FC fighter, and he opened his gym a couple of years ago, and we trained previously, and I haven't been training that long, but trained previously at another place which actually closed down because of other things. He wasn't the head coach there, and I said to him, "Hey, I've got an idea," and I think part of him at the time said, "Oh yeah, no worries, but do it here," because he knew me well, but obviously not that well, because he's actually said since, "Oh, he's actually going to do it." Well, yeah, it's me. Yeah, Mel knew, she knew, so yeah, we did it at Chow Kaizen. Great gym. It's probably facility-wise for its type the best here, and I can say that because I've been to 20 different gyms by driving around the Adelaide, South Australia, and into Victoria State. About 4.5 hour drive up to Mildura, who we're now aligned with, affiliated with their head coach there called Mick Maloney. Mm-hmm. Just if he's listening, I hate you. I really hate you. But I'll pay for that. He's here on Thursday, so I'll pay for that. Just awesome people. Awesome people. And so that's how that came about. And like I said, to come up with it, you know what? How did I come around with thinking about running across America? I watched the Forrest Gump movie. That'd be a good movie. It wouldn't be a marathon. We'll do a marathon a day. Be a Gumpathon. There you go. The Gumpathon. And that happened. That's it. It's for me. It's not I want to do something like this. I'd like to forever, but I also need to know that this event that we've just done, I wasn't able to work properly because I was doing this whole time. So I talk about the prep, between 13 and 18 hours a week on the mats, and obviously on the event. So I've done well over a year's worth of jits in about 2 months. About 2 months, I guess. Significant amount of time training, and I've been told, when they rolled with me earlier on in the piece, and then rolled with me now, and they go, "Oh wow, geez, you've improved." Well, yeah, I've done like 9 months of jits since we last rolled.
Yeah, I was trying to do the math, and I'm like, okay, so your normal class, a class, not an open mat, you're lucky to get 45 minutes of mat time of rolling, because you got your warm up, you got your drills, and then you start rolling. So then I started doing the math. I'm like, man, he's a couple months of jiu-jitsu. For the average guy trains 2 or 3 times a week, you got a couple of months in one day.
Yeah.
So how did that change? Like, so if you, like, what did you learn about your own jiu-jitsu and that grind? Like, did you grow? You had to go through, just the physics of it to control stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
I think simply, if I can say, so I talked about prior to having spinal surgery, because in 2016, the state championships as a blue belt, and I'd felt there wasn't something right in my body, my right leg particularly. Anyway, that was in the May. So in the June, I went to the doctor, and between the June, where they found that I had some 4 discs were squeezing my spinal cord flat, almost, and certainly there was no cervical spinal fluid around there, no CSF. And over the period of the next 4 months, 4 months or so, I lost the feeling in my legs completely, my groin, my backside, and then eventually my hands. I just couldn't feel my fingertips. So it was pretty scary. And then I had the spinal surgery, and I came back. Went, oh, cool. And I was the guy who'd actually performed the spinal surgery. He was a blue belt as well. No longer trained, but he was a blue belt. So he knew how important it was for me to get back to the mats, because I told him exactly why. It was really important that I did. So when I woke up and I felt my hand, I could feel my hands, and was in the recovery room, and the nurse said, "You okay? Is there anything I can get you?" I said, "I can feel my hands." And she went, "Okay, is there anything?" I was like, "I could feel my hands." And she was like, "Okay." And I went off to sleep again. It was so important for me.
Morphine makes you real happy. I had a double fusion, and they hold me down because I was like, "Hey, I feel great," and they're pushing me back in my bed, and I'm pushing my green button for more morphine, and and then the pain hit about a week later. So yeah, but that's a great feeling though. You didn't have feeling in your hands. You're now suddenly it's like you got a new lease on life.
Yeah, that would have been. I would have called you. I think I've heard a different word, quadriplegic, if I hadn't had the surgery, without question, because it went downhill really, really quickly. But then after that, so I had to change from being so I had nearly 2 years off, I had a year and a half off, and then just over a year and a half off, and then I had some more time off because I got heel hooked by a white belt when I got back to the mats, just kind of gentle rolls. I mean, like in a gi, just for the record. And so I had to have more time off, so I was kind of pissed about that. Eventually, I changed academies because
you want to say here, you can just really, really single them out. You're the focus. He knows who he is.
I think I've heard, and he said, I don't like taking other people's, she said, but I was just making it up. I don't make shit like if it hurt me, mate, you must have really hurt me. So you know what, I definitely couldn't walk it off because my ankle was pretty screwed. Even though it affects the knee, I love heel hooks.
Full disclosure, my ankle rocker. I love heel hooks, but I've been hating it, so I know what this feels like.
Yeah, but it's like in a gi. What are you doing in a gi? It's not a gi thing. Anyway, that's another story. So I suppose getting from there to then learning how to pull guard, and I think I've said this to other people. I bought a T-shirt, I think from a place over in the States actually, and it says, and on it, it's like a picture of a monkey, and it says, "Your mum pulls guard." Well, I used to love wearing that. I was going, "Hey, guard pullers," and now I'm that guy because I kind of have to, because I can't risk takedowns. It kind of sucks. But
funny.
It's come to bite me in the ass. Funny old thing. But so now I'm learning to play off the bottom and learning so much more. But then it was actually the best thing for me. And like you said, that question about how jiu-jitsu improved. Well, actually, from when I started training again last January, and eventually started rolling harder by April, and then going, okay, let's develop things. So the couple of things that I'd used before were lockdown, which again people do use, don't so much, but I've learned that not just to have it locked down, but develop those sweeps and a whole heap of other things. Working with the 10th Planet guys here as one of the gyms was just amazing. So now
our grapple, that helps you conserve some energy though. I mean, if you're playing good bottom game, I mean, dude, when I'm fighting a big athletic white belt that looks like he just came off the football field, half guard, but still, yeah. So you played a lot.
Yeah, if you imagine though, the pros and cons in their own way for the gyms to have closed doors, and the bottom line is it allows people to, it's their gym, they do what they like. I wouldn't ever be so rude as to say that, but from my perspective now, if only from what I've done, in my short jiu-jitsu journey, I've trained in Sweden, and the bits and bobs I did in America, Afghanistan. I remember the huge gym there, the last I was in, was up in Marzi Sharif. It was amazing. Just I can't remember the name of the guys there. I know there was a Dutch kickboxer. She was also a physio there. She used to train jits too. I can't remember. I wish for life I don't remember her name. So many places I've trained in the last few weeks, and I've absorbed. And you can see that how the emulation from the coach down to the other people goes on and is passed, because this group of very much top players, and they're very much half guard, and they're very much this and that, and you see it. So for me, if I were to stay in one place, to train in only one place, my home gym is Chow Kaizen, absolutely. But if I was only going to train there forever, then I would only learn that routine. Right. So now, having gone to all these other places and absorbed it, a bit like Neo, not Neo in the Matrix, but you imagine, I know jiu-jitsu, and all that sort of thing. Well, I now know that from a lot of different places.
It's like the Globetrotter. I'm sure you've
effectively, yeah. I mean, that's a great incentive. Christian Grogo has done that. I think it's amazing, and I think that obviously from the start of this, so the beginning of the year, a couple of things just before December, when I met with Craig Jones and he did the little videos for us, etc., because he's from here originally, and do all those things, and then look at where my jiu-jitsu was at the beginning of the year and look where it is now, and I go, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to get back onto the mats now to see what I'm like.
Oh, I go into withdrawal. I mean, the withdrawal's tough. So you did. So you're going into the grapples, and I'm sure it starts off. I'm sure first hour, I got this. When did you hit your first wall, and what was that like? What was the moment that you start to be like, what am I into?
This, I don't know if you believe this or people who are watching believe it, but I didn't.
Really?
I didn't ever think that. I didn't think it. All I remember is the fact I don't remember. If that makes any sense or something. I just think between 8 p.m.
Blacked out a little bit. Like
8 p.m. Between 8 p.m. and midnight was a bit hazy, blurry. As that Puddle and Mud song goes, everything's so blurry. Well, you could play that, and I would be like, no. And when I watch back I don't know if you watched the video which shows you every person I rolled with.
I didn't.
Took pictures.
You had to give me that link because I was on YouTube, man, and you did a lot of before and after interviews, but and I was a bit of a fanboy. I'm gonna admit it. I mean, I just got done reading the David Goggins book about ultra marathoning, right? Mm-hmm. And that's incredible. The guy, I'm not taking anything away from him, but that's using your lower body. A grapple, for people who haven't grappled, there's not a muscle that doesn't get fatigued. Mm-hmm. So how did you deal with your fluid intake, your potassium levels? How did you keep that going?
So a couple of ways. The day prior to one of the sponsors, go back one step. There's an MMA organization here called DFC that's run by Craig, Ike, and Greg, and they put me in touch with. They were going to sponsor the event, and that actually event was on the Sunday after I finished on the Saturday. They have an organization called the Drip Club. Now, what the Drip Club do is give you an IV and give you some good nutrients, etc., whatever else it is, pickups, pep before you perhaps do an event, and then afterwards, whatever, and other stuff too. But so I contacted Kim and David from there and said, or Kim initially, and they did their own little video. And on the day before, which was my birthday, went in and had an IV shoved into me, and it had all the nutrients, etc., and also something to help me get a good night's sleep. I can't remember what it was. It doesn't matter. I'm not the chemical genius that I'd like to think I was. So did all that, and then on the day, so I started at midday, and then at midnight they came in, and during that 12-minute break, so I had a 12-minute break, which I hated. I hated all of them. I absolutely hated it. And that sounds ridiculous that I get a 12-minute break. But I hated it.
It's really ridiculous that you're doing 24 hours and you're upset about a 12-minute break.
I hated them. Getting in the ice bath, getting my clothes off, getting the ice bath, shaking the cold. And I'm an Arctic warfare instructor, so I didn't mind the Arctic, but it was just crap, man. Getting that, get a quick massage around here, my arms. I mean, I say massage as best as Ashley and Mick or Mel or whatever could do. And thereafter, try and inhale this liquid soup that Macro Meals had given me, cold, not the same as when you get a hot soup. You get a hot soup, man, and it's in this tube, and I was just sucking it in. Gave me the worst flatulence and smells ever, as people will honestly mate, that I have never smelled so bad. I mean, sometimes those rations and MRAs are just hideous, and I apologise profusely, but it wasn't me, it was my insides. So do all that and then dry off, fresh pants, jocks, and put a new gi on, slap, bump, away we go. That was it. But at midnight, they got an IV into my right arm, and at that time got 750 mils in about 8 minutes. They did another one again at 8 a.m., so 4 hours before the end, and they got in a litre in 5.5 minutes. They were squeezing that bag, man.
Yeah.
It's like being on the plasma. It was.
In the pictures, you looked wrecked. I mean, and then I saw your Facebook post the day after, and I've seen guys come off of 24-hour benders that look better. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way, but it obviously took a toll on you, right? I mean, it took a serious toll on you. How long did it take you till you were I mean, you said you're not rolling still, but how long did it take you to recover from that?
We came home and I slept for about 20 minutes, half an hour. So we got home about 1:20, 1:30, I guess. Came out, had a shower, covered it. Like I said about lockdown, my front of my left shin was just black. It was just completely black.
Yeah.
Totally. And there were bruises everywhere. My fingers, I couldn't open the bag of candy on the way home in the car because my fingers were so sore. And then obviously knuckle joints as well. I was sore. My face was sore from all the gi rash, putting Vaseline throughout. But I got home, slept for about 20 minutes, half an hour max. And then at 7 o'clock, we were picked up and went downtown and I got on the beers.
No. Well, sure. Why not? You earned it. Right? Nothing to hydrate that. Yeah,
I was rehydrating and doing shots with some fellow Marines, former Marines who were here. One of the guys I was in training with, Jez, he flew over from Victoria State, and another mate I'd worked with back in the day as well. He lives in Brisbane. He flew in, which was just amazing, just the best. When I saw them up in the mezzanine floor at our place and giving the old shaka, I was literally trying to hold back the tears because I thought, wow, you've made it over here. You're amazing, just great.
Yeah. So something I've tried to relay to people is that, one of those things as a veteran with jiu-jitsu is it's the closest I've found to that feeling of being in a platoon. Like you get that brotherhood. I think it comes from there's an honesty. There is a genuineness when you're grappling with somebody. And those bonds you form, I think are maybe not combat, but I've encouraged it to veterans who, when they get out, and my whole podcast about transitioning is they kind of feel like they're on their own. Like you're used to being in a unit, you're used to having this brotherhood. Good luck in corporate America finding people that are going to push you for 24 hours in a grueling session like that. But when you get into a good gym, you do get that brotherhood. You do feel like you're part of something bigger than a lot of civilians feel in the regular world. So your guys, your friends, they had your back, and that's fantastic. Who put it on you the worst? Which friend of yours really smashed you the hardest? Because I saw a couple of mentions.
Oh, honestly. So, and they know, even as you've asked that, they know their names are coming up because they're dicks. Absolutely. So it was funny that the last three rolls. So little Joe trained at our club, and then 4 rolls even Joe, and then there was go from this little white belt, and then go to Tuesday, who's a head coach. He's also a purple belt with 1 stripe, and he, as we went into hug everyone as we did, 3 rolls to go, going to hug, and he turned his hip into me, and I went, "Well, what are you doing?" And he went, "What's going to happen, bro?" And then he hip threw me.
Oh. You're bad at that point. You're dehydrated. You're beat up. Your ribs got to be smashed, and then he does a hip throw on top of it.
And he said, "You knew it was happening, bro." I went, "No, I didn't." And he didn't drop me hard, thankfully. But I still felt, and then he went straight to knee ride. I was like, "What are you doing?" Shimmy around. It was funny.
3 hours in, and he got the neon soul going.
20, well, yeah, even 23 and 40 or 23, whatever it was near the end. And then after that, I had Mick Maloney, who's the black belt from Enduro. I spoke about the first degree black belt, and he just went hard up. And I kept saying, "Oh, my chest," because I'd crap my ribs. I'm not like playing at it. He said, "Shut up, man! You walk, fight through it." I went, "Oh, okay," because everybody's there. The TV crew were there, the national news, etc., and the place was full. And so it did all that. I got through that, and then I had Melissa, which was like being kissed by angels, comparatively speaking. It was just that was good. It was very emotional, having worked so hard together on this, me and my guys and her pushing out the social media. I mean, she just did an amazing job. And to have had the furthest reaching campaign that Are You OK have ever had, and highest grossing campaign, was such an honor. But that wasn't just me. I did my thing, but Mel got the word out there between us doing different things, and I'd drop things every now and again, but she had this whole series of tiles that go up, from home, that's what she does for her work in a different guise, but there's a whole marketing group's worth of stuff there, that to have the moniker of having the farthest reaching campaign and have, I think, 43 countries watching the live stream at some point was pretty amazing.
And it's still going on. Pretty good. It's still open till when? How long is it open?
Is that for the donations, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, is it just stay open, or do you have a date that it ends, or?
Yeah, the campaign for donations actually ends at the end of the year. So there are some other events going ahead that are going to support the cause, our particular cause. I've got a couple of events where I need to go and speak to people and speak at events, which I'm more than happy to do. So I mean, whatever I can do to do that. But then I've also in the back of my mind plans for next year's event.
You're going to do it again?
Yes and no. Not the same and not the same place. So in 2 years' time, I think the plan is to do something similar but do it in the States.
Okay. Do you have any idea? Do you have a concept of where you want to do it at yet, or have you been in talks with places?
No, not yet. Vegas.
Vegas, yeah, of course. Why not, right? Well, I mean, hell, if you plan that around the World's Masters, do you compete in the World's Masters?
The thing is, I can't risk competing at the World Masters because my next fuse, I got a triple fuse in. I can't, because at the same time I can't compete again. It's so frustrating from a guy who's competed all his life at national level, and now what I wanted to do when I did this was compete at the World Masters as a purple belt, and because then I would have competed for my country, or two different countries at 3 sports, and now I can't risk it because I know it sounds stupid, because it's different, kind of different anyway. But I can't do that. It's devastating for me. So I just roll for 24 hours instead.
It's a great time to do it, though. You've got everybody there, You've got all the rest there. I mean, and I'm also saying that self-serving because I'm going to do next year. I'm going to do the World's Masters again. I did it last year. Now I'm a brown belt. I want to get a year, but yeah, I'd love to. If you do it, then I want to see it, man. That's pretty amazing. I'll give you the knee ride. I'll get a shout out with your next interviews.
Yeah, David, I'll be happy. I mean, conceptually, there's a big event I want to do here next year with the hand cycle, similar to what I did in America. But for and this is just spitballing. It's nothing set in stone. And because Mallard said to me the other day, he said, "Oh, this thing this jits in America thing, I haven't spoken about it." I went, "No, I'm just talking about it. I haven't set anything up. But if you say something repeatedly a few times, it kind of goes, oh, when are you doing that thing? Oh, I'm doing it in such and such."
Yeah, but I'm a big believer, and you put your goal out there publicly, and then you can't back out because you kind of set a standard. So you'll be 50 if you do
it. 50 that, yeah. And the conceptually 2 ideas, and I spoke to one guy about it who'd done something similar in where's Ray Lopez? I don't know if you know Ray Lopez. He's having his first pro MMA fight very, very soon, and but he's a black belt, and he'd done something similar to raise money for his wife, who suffers with a couple of conditions, Kim, and he did like 10-minute, 3 minutes, and had an hour off after 12 hours or something. I can't remember exactly what he did. The idea was either roll against him for a day, just 2 people, or roll against 230 black belts.
Oh man, then you got to do something like the Worlds when you got everybody in the house. But what a great I mean, what a great time to do that. And you'll get for your campaign. I mean, think of the exposure. 230 black belt smashing you. You know, you're looking like spread butter when you're done. But it's for a good cause, and we'll definitely. I mean, look, you set a high bar. You know, you've set a high bar. Now you got to top that. That's monumental, man. But I can't wrap my mind around going through that. Of course, you know, I'm just a big wuss. Now you've been being an endurance athlete, you probably know how to get in that headspace, but that's pretty amazing, man.
Thing is, to be honest, I hate. Like, tell you about endurance. You know, when I did the run across America, which, like I said, I fell foul of injury that, and I had to do my mileage on a hand cycle. I hate running and I hate endurance because I was a sprinter, I was a decathlete, and I did bobsleigh. You know, they don't require endurance, but then as a military guy, a Marine, you had to do endurance course. You do all the commando tests and continue to do that and get that upon you guys to be endurance because you have to be, etc. And even when I ran a motor workshop, one of my jobs in my later part of my career, my cooling off period, was as a motor maintenance mechanic workshop engineer, boss, if you like. And all my guys were some of the fittest guys in the unit. Why? Because they needed to be, because they were still Marines first and foremost. So I didn't care what their jobs were; they were fit as. I needed them to be fit, and I think they were appreciative because they went to Afghan. I left, moved on to another job, that last job I told you about, and they went on to Afghanistan, and they were super appreciative of the fact because they went out on the ground a lot. So if they hadn't, you know what, might be a different story now.
Well, whether it's running or anything, there's a mental conditioning. You know, there's the ability to push through the pain. So whether it's, you know, running, cycling, whatever, you get to a point where you just have to have that control of your body because everybody hurts at a certain point, you know. I tell people, like, you know, I've never been a marathoner, but I used to run a lot. And, you know, you start getting that pain in your foot, you learn how to shut it down. You start getting the pain in your knees, you learn how to just keep going. And like you did with your grappling, is, you know, just one round at a time, one step after the other. There is a mental conditioning that goes far beyond what we think the body can do. And, you know, you push through that in a big way. I mean, you didn't just go a little bit. You blew through that barrier. So that's amazing, man. I mean, I still, you know, you got to give me the link for that video because I got to see that smash session. Yeah. But it's brutal. What is your biggest takeaway after that? Like, did you have an epiphany or a moment of realization or, you know, something you learned about yourself in that period?
I'm still continuing to do so as things come back to me from the event, from either other people say, "Oh, can you remember this? Remember that?" I mean, "Oh, yeah, wow, yeah, it was good." But I think what I learned about it is, there's several points to that question I could probably answer. But the first would be what I learned about jiu-jitsu as a whole and the jiu-jitsu community. You know, having created the world's biggest open mat, that was kind of cool, and get a lot of gyms that ordinarily wouldn't get together. To get together was amazing. You know, behind one common cause. Mm-hmm. Some people chose not to be there, and that's fine because they have their own lives and do their thing. But some people chose not to be there because they chose not to be there. They suck. So, you know, I don't care. But I think the biggest takeaway from my side was, and the best thing for me was that, and I always knew this, that once this is over, you know, I can go back into the shadows and continue to do daily life stuff, and that's good for me. I can't imagine being a celebrity, but what I did learn that is, people want to perhaps sometimes jump on the coattails of things. I found that with the Gumpathon. Anyway, people will be a friend, but they'll be a friend for sometimes the wrong reason. I strongly encourage people to donate, etc., and we haven't, to raise as much money as we didn't actually get that many donations. I think there were less than 500 donations. There are literally hundreds of thousands of people who've seen it, and I go, oh, why haven't haven't you donated? I know we have a lot of different stories and reasons, but I mean, I've been unemployed properly for some time. I'm a friend over in Vic, the guy I spoke to at the Marine, and I said to him, I'm really, really sorry, I can't afford much because I don't have a proper job at the minute, and I've literally, only just been re-employed in the last couple of weeks. But I still donated because he was just painting a fingernail, and that was for, I can't remember what it was for now, but I didn't care because he was just doing it for something. And I thought, if everybody that would have seen that had just donated, $2, we'd have had millions. So the thing that I learned for me is that, even though you can inspire so very many, there are still so very many who may well have been inspired but don't either want to, or they think that the $2 isn't enough or whatever. It is enough, because if everybody did it, then we would reach the secondary target, because initially I set the target at 10,000. So I think what I learned is that for myself is not to be too judgmental. Be happy with what I've done. But I'm a platinum guy. I don't go for gold. I go for platinum, because I always said if I aim for bronze, then the likelihood is I'd get somewhere, I'd get tin, I'd get somewhere down here. But I've always tried to say aim for platinum, and the takeaway for other people is always go higher than you think you can, and then when you fall short, you probably hit your level.
I'll tell you, since I started getting into business, since I retired last year, and it's been a whole new world. My wife's pretty good at business. She's a military home base. That's her thing. She's paying for my website, so I gotta give the shout out to military home base. But that's what every good business person says. Set that big goal, So anyway, so you set the big goal, and where do people donate? Give me the easy site, because I'm going to have this on my Facebook, but it's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on my podcast. What's the easy way to find your site?
Sure. So the best way would be to go to the Force of Inspiration website, which is TFOI, that's Tango Foxtrot Oscar India.com.au, and you'll see a link on the front page. I'm going to leave that up there for quite some time. Or go to the Facebook page, which is the Force of Inspiration, or the Instagram page. And there, I think the Force of Inspiration page now, it's the book button. You can't change the text on it. I think if you click on the book button, then yeah, click on that. But go to the Instagram page too, and just click on. You see a book or see more. It's in the bio anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's still there. If you haven't and you'd roll, you should. I even got to the point where I said, if you roll and you can afford to, but you haven't donated, what do you want to do?
It doesn't just have to be if you roll. This is veterans taking care of veterans. So you got a wider audience than just jiu-jitsu. You've got your veterans, and so the suicide, the depression, it is such a big international thing. And at first, I get hit with donations all the time. Everybody does. You have a birthday, donate. You have this, donate. So, but I look into the cause, and I looked at Are You Okay? And I was like, hey, this is a simple but realistic call to action. Call a buddy. Are you okay? 22 push-ups doesn't get it. Actually do something. So I really like the cause, and I hope we can get you guys some support, because your effort is amazing. But like you said in one of your interviews, the cause came first. It's obviously a cause you believe in. So, we'll spread it out. We'll try and get it out there. But and I'll be donating today, because I believe in what you're doing. Is a question? Is jiu-jitsu? This is all I know about jiu-jitsu in Australia is Kit Dale and what the UFC, when they did the Australians, and they kind of made it out that jiu-jitsu wasn't that popular in Australia. Is that still the case, or is it picking up down there?
Nah, it's good, man. I mean, admittedly, it wasn't. And I think if you speak to the guys so I trained with the guys who kind of start up. So the original black belt here, I believe, if I'm wrong, tap me out. But the guy called Peter O'Shea, he trained at a place. It's just down the road from me, north side, big guy. And then there's the Toyamas, who were very much in the throw, and then there's people who trained with those guys. So Greg Toyama and his son Michael. I actually saw Michael compete at the Royal Nogies back in LA a few years ago when we were on holiday. We just happened to be at the same time. He was my coach at the time. That was great. When they started, there were maybe 1 or 2 clubs. And now, like I said, I visited at least 20, and I didn't visit all of them. Crazy. And it's a fairly small. It's seen as a bit of it's Australia's best kept secret, in as much as it's not Sydney, it's not Melbourne, it's not Perth, of course, because it's a different city. But they've got all of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, Melbourne's got this like amazing wildlife over the beaches. Adelaide is awesome. It's brilliant. It's got surrounded by 600 vineyards, wineries, etc. Brilliant and ready to get behind was incredible. And I feel very honoured to have had that up. So are you back? Have the vision to set that up. So
hey guys.
Yeah. So yeah. Are you back in, Chris?
Hi guys, we lost power. That's on my fault, my side. We had a power surge. I'm hoping we can get Obi back on. Save this interview.
Are you back in there, Chris?
But while I'm waiting to see if he's back on, first off, I want to thank Obi if he doesn't make it back. I'm upset it got cut off like that because hopefully he'll be back in a second. Here he comes. But hey, while I'm waiting, and he's coming on right now, please check out his site. Please go to welcome back. www.tfoi.com.au. Give $1, $1, give $2. You know, it's less than a Pepsi. So hook him up. So he's back, and hey, Obi, welcome back. We had a power surge. Murphy's Law, right? Like I've had 2 all year, and one of them has to be when I'm broadcasting in Australia. You know? So,
yeah, I know. Must be a thing.
So you're okay. So you were talking about the I think you got cut off. We were talking about the groups, right? That the schools and BJJ in Australia.
Yeah. I actually kept, when you sent the message saying you lost power, so I kept talking because it said it's still live. I thought, well, I'll still talk. So I've been talking and I've filled in about community, etc. But yeah, in short speak, yeah, it's been amazing, and to be part of something that brought groups together and having real, genuine open mats was great. You know, even being asked to coach at other people's clubs, which was amazing. You know, I enjoy coaching anyway. But being able to coach something that I hadn't really coached too much before. I think that's a good indicator of your jiu-jitsu, and you know, the learning's perpetual, so I don't know everything. I don't know anything really. I'm a guy who's a purple belt who's a bit of a I would say not a fake, because I think most people I roll with would say, oh yeah, okay, you're a purple belt, but you know, I've only been rolling for just over 3 years really. So
man, it is so relative, you know, but the fact that you can teach heart, you can teach not giving up. You know, I mean, purple belt, first off, you know, in a lot of places I've been where jiu-jitsu wasn't big, purple belts are running schools. You know, I know that IBJJF doesn't like it, but you've got knowledge, share the knowledge. You know, as a brown belt now, I feel like I'm starting over again, you know, because it's like, okay, I was pretty good as a purple belt. I suck as a brown belt. Then I'm thinking, then you're black belt, and you're competing, and then, you know, here comes someone like Zandy Ribeiro or you know, Cyborg, and you're like, well, I'm a black belt, he's a black belt, but we do not belong in the same division. So I mean, it's always going to be that way. But you know, teaching is a great way of giving back, you know, and you can spread your cause while you're at it. So it's what, Jedi Jitsu, Jedi Jiu-Jitsu.
Jedi Jitsu, yeah. I came up with it a few years ago because it made sense, and off the bat, because all my career I was Toddy in the military. I was Damian Todd Toddy, and then Todd Meister. I even had the Todd Meister tattooed as a tramp stamp. I've got that as a tattoo on my back. Nice. The guys paid that for that, and that was before American Pie. I'd always been Todd Meister for years, but and then Obi came about from, you know, comment me saying, oh, that I did the impossible press up. And and then it stuck. So Jedi Jitsu seemed like the thing, because it was something I really, really loved, I have a passion for. And trademark
it now. Trademark it now.
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah.
You've got a foundation, man. I mean, you've got a good, solid foundation, and you earned it. You know, you didn't. You know, I see lots of guys, they win a local tournament, and then they're somebody. You look. I didn't know that the tournament that your grappleathon, is that what we're going to call it? Your grappleathon was in Australia. I'm sitting in Tampa, Florida, and suddenly it's all over my feed, you know. And actually, they said, I didn't know you. When I first saw it, I didn't even know you're Australian military. It just said military veteran, but that's got universal appeal. So here I am in Tampa, and I know your name, you know, from your grappleathon out there. So that's a better jump off than most people have. I mean, that's a hell of a thing, and you're connected to a real good cause. So why not? Why not use that? You know, you say you don't want to be a celebrity, but at the same time, you have a platform that you can do a lot of good with. It's not about you; it's about what you can do with it. And I think it's hell of a great start. I mean, and you seem like a genuinely good dude, man. So why not, right?
Yeah, I try. I've made some monumental mistakes in my life, but at the same time, you know, who hasn't? So you know, yeah, judge me on now. Yeah, it's but I think you're right, and it is, and the key point about what you said is it's about what I'm doing it for, not me. I'm just the enabler, not necessarily the thing. So it's important for me to continue that message throughout. So, and that's what I want to do. My passion is in doing this. This stuff is making life easier for someone, or giving people the ability to, you know, so many young people now are subjected to hard life. When we were, you know, when I was bullied at school, and I hate it. Don't get bullied so much anymore. Marines, that went out the window. But when you went to school, you go to school, you get bullied, you go home, that kind of stops. But nowadays it's continuous, you know, social media platforms, etc. And as great as they are, there are pros and cons, but it's continuous. So there's no worry. There's no wonder there's so much worry around that, because how do you stop it? Well, you take them off social media. Or if you're not on social media now, you're outed. So I mean, it's catch-22. What do? Chicken egg. So I don't know, but it's scary to me. You see so many more young people taking their own lives. Jimmy Crute, the MMA guy that I met at the DFC, the UFC Australian light heavyweight, and like I said, it was funny at the time. He'd asked to have a picture with me, which was like, yeah, that's kind of the way around, bro. But it's kind of flattering, and great. Okay, so when he told me that his friend, he told me a story anyway about suicide and stuff, and again, it's everywhere. Shouldn't happen, you get a bad disease and we haven't quite got a cure and you die. It's horrific. It's absolutely painful, and it's close to home here for sure, because Mel lost her father to cancer. But suicide, we have to give that the same credence as those type of things, because it's chemical imbalances in the brain. So why can't we affect how that works? Well, we can, but we need to research that heavily. And I actually spoke to a charity here only last week about some really interesting stuff they're doing, and it's great. There's some moves are afoot to make that a better place for all those people.
So
and I hope I can be part of it.
Where are you hoping to be with this? What are you hoping? Are you hoping to springboard? Are you hoping to grow with this? Again, now we're talking reaching for the moon, which you brought up, right? Perfect world. If you don't want to say it, don't say it. Some people hold their cards, but what would you like to do from here?
I just want to help people. I just want to help people. That's now. If I think about what makes me happy, and it's ridiculous, and as both of us will attest to here, and I'm sure she's listening, if not directly in the room, is that doing this kind of stuff is hard work, man. It's hard work. It's a grind. It's the harder part of the jits. To do 24 hours again, as opposed to doing all the work behind it. If you have never done an event like this, be prepared. Don't think it's easy. You think, you just turn up and roll and that's it.
Wow.
Actually, no. Every time, wake up in the morning, check your phone.
It's getting people on your team. You had to have a team,
Yeah. And that again, that's that part of that. Inspiring people. Well, why should I help you? Well, because this is my why. Do you associate with this why? That's why people give it to charities, because they've got a why. There's a reason. Sometimes just to get them to go, leave me alone. But I want to help you because my father or my son or whatever this is stuff, or whatever the cause is, that they need a why. That's the hook. And once you get the hook, the rest is. It's not easy. It just helps. It adds to the team, so you have a bigger team. But then with a bigger team, you get a bigger view. You go, okay, well, what if I get this person as well? And I certainly did that with America, and I certainly tried to do that with this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. But I think for the future, what do I want to do? Continue doing it. I need to, because
starting your own foundation.
I don't know about to start my own. I mean, I've considered doing that after America, but it kind of killed me for some reason, in as much as I was really beaten down after that. A lot of people, when I did that event, who took part, I can say without question, it was difficult. That's all I'll say. It was difficult managing that team, incredibly thrown together, and some strong personalities who didn't like to think of it as a hire car. It was a hire car. But it was actually my car, but everybody else treated it like a hire car, or a lot of people treated it like a hire car, because they had no investiture in it. There's nothing that, what have you actually done to pay for this car? Well, actually not a lot, if anything. Yes, you've been through things bad in your life, but now you just jump on this bandwagon and treat it like an absolute piece of shit car. And I found off the back of that, I was mentally, I hit big black spots in my life after the Gump. But
your lessons learned, right?
Yeah.
So you know what to do with it. It's your first one, and for a first one, that is an incredible success, right? I mean, your first grapple-a-thon, at least, you've got, you said 33 countries streamed it. You've raised $30,000 so far. Hopefully, we're gonna get more. I've done a couple charity events. I did Hurricane Maria. We did a thing. Dude, not even in the same league. I mean, I look at my little charity events, and I just want to kind of put them under the rug. Not proud of it at all now, and I'm speaking facetiously, but dude, you've had incredible success, and there's no way around that. And you can't put that back in a box. So where you go with it's up to you. I would love to be a part of whatever you do in the future and help you spread the word, because I believe in what you're doing. And my platform's small, but I'll be happy to push it out. But dude, I think it's just incredible. I think you're an incredible person. I think that what you did is, I mean, truly, when I say Herculean, I mean it. Like 230 people roughly you fought in 24 hours. That's legendary, so amazing job, man. Amazing job. So I know you got your day out with your wife, who has been incredibly patient. Give her what is that, Helen?
Melissa. No, Helen's my. If Helen's commenting on anything, that'll be my stepmom. Yeah. I see comments now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. So Helen's your stepmom. Shout out to her, and shout out to your wife, Melissa.
Yeah, Melissa, correct. Yeah.
And she was there with you. I'm sure she's the one who had to pick you up when you were down. So shout out to her, and thank you so much. So one last time, www.tfoi.com.au. Donate, help the cause, and thank you. Stay with us on the page, man. Let me know when you're coming to America.
Absolutely.
Staying in Vegas, keep up with me, because I'm a fan.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are actually planning to come over your side. I mean, I've been to Florida, of course. To your side to go visit the new Star Wars world at Disney at some point.
Well, I train 1 hour from there, Lakeland, Florida. I train with Fabio Novaes. We are just down I-4. You come by, let me know. We'll have you at the gym, and I think it'd be great. So Obi-Wan, the Jedi at Star Wars. See, that's what's great about living by Orlando, is everyone eventually. Yeah,
exactly.
So
good.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know. Thank you so much. I appreciate it from my heart, man. All right.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks. All right. I'm going to end the podcast. Sign out. 1 second.